All right, everybody, we are live and we are right outside of Los Angeles, California. And standing with me is Peter DeMaria and Diego Rivera, and we are at Mid-Rise Modular. And we're going to give you a bit of a tour of what's going on here at Mid-Rise Modular and what these guys are up to. But first, we got to thank our sponsors.
Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output. Model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at struxsoftsolutions.com.
All right, we are back. Hey, listen, we cannot do any of this without our sponsors. So please go and say hello to them and thank them. They're the reason I can come to LA and travel and do all the things we do to keep showcasing innovation in construction. Cooper Lane in the house. What's up, Cooper Lane, Brave Controls? All right, guys, let's get into it. We got Diego, we got Peter. Why don't you guys give us a little bit of who you are and what we're doing here at Mid-Rise Modular?
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Welcome to our shop. Welcome to Mid-Rise. As you know, we're a migration from a 2D to 3D panel shop. In the past, we were doing 2D type 1 construction, and now we're migrating to our new challenge, 3D. For that, I had to go back and scout some new people. I was able to get Peter, one of our famous architects here in California, who's well known. Why don't you tell them about yourself, Peter?
Well, I've been in the modular space for about 15 years and really fortunate every step of the way. Got involved here with our folks at Mid-Rise. We're creating a whole new branch on the modular tree. So we're really lucky to have Dave here visiting us and giving us the exposure. And thank you all for watching us from across the globe. So hopefully we can impart some knowledge with you today and make it valuable time spent.
Not just in modular. So everybody knows Peter is the guy behind making sure things get approved in the state. You have a track record of it. So let's be, it's California, man. Yeah. People need people like you, Peter.
Yeah, it gets tough sometimes, but the rules are out there. And as long as we know the rules, we can comply with them. It's when they don't have the rules that makes it difficult. But that's part of our job. That's what we do.
Right, right. All right. So you guys have started Mid-Rise Modular, and behind us is one of the frames for really, I guess, the prototype of a building you're getting ready to do.
That is correct.
Right. So you already got the 2D panel shop and all that figured out and down to millimeters of tolerances. So why don't you guys tell us what we're looking at here behind us?
Something that we learn as we go along going from the 2D to the 3D is that a digital twin is not enough. The digital twin has not been able to help us. So what we're doing is actually doing kind of reverse engineering, building our first model, going through every joint, the joints of the structocrete. Is it waterproof? Is it that corner? Has enough backing for everything else when it comes to the fire ratings? And then we're doing a reverse engineering. We're framing, we're doing the plumbing, and then making sure that our shop drawings and our digital twins are actually matching a real 1-to-1 scale. Using total stations, we're doing lasers, making sure that the red iron frame will match. This is a 5-6 story building. Like right now, we just noticed that there's a 1/2 inch tolerance here from that welding. So how do you build the welding jigs? How do you make sure that the structocrete is squares to the floor? And then when this thing gets flown and erected into a building, that the proper location and the proper connections are. And most of those things have been happening here in the shop. So pretty much this is going on right here. We'll think that we'll be able to finish this by the end of next week. And then from there, digital points uploaded to the same software that we use. One of the keys to our digital twins is MWF. We've been great fans on MWF for the past 12 years. I think within the framing, or at least the steel framing, it's probably one of the best softwares out there. So Struck software, we're very happy to be one of their end users.
Yeah. We were here last week on one of the job sites, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more of the job sites. And one of the things that I thought was pretty incredible was the tolerances and how you do so much more for the trades when it came to the SWS panels. And you guys are getting ready to bring in all of that knowledge and all of that detail to make this a seamless integration on this upcoming project you have as well.
That is correct. So like I said, we're bringing the trades, and then so when you're a volumetric, either you do sub-assemblies, you bring the trades in, you bring the people with the knowledge, and then you reverse engineer and you save costs. At the beginning, it's a matter of doing it right so you can do the cookie cutter mold. So that's the process we're doing. And I don't know if you move forward, you're going to see we have other things.
Let's walk down here. Yeah, come on.
Where we were fortunate enough we're able to sign an NDA with MyTech. As you know, we're doing the shaker table test next summer. It's going to be a 10-story modular building. And we're in the process of designing how does Ligage compete against existing 3/5 or 5/2 podiums. And I mean, I know some of the stuff is still on the market, but what we're doing is figuring out connections. We're taking advantage of a shear wall. Why do we have to put the big red iron frames? Why can we do a light structure for buildings probably below 5 floors and below? Another thing that we're learning is bringing some of the trades that we know, something so simple of equipment that already exists where you can get a soffit done like that and you eliminate some of the structure. So right there, this is probably on that module, it's about $200 savings. So.
And what'd you do? You're just working through a piece of sheetrock or gypsum board and making the cuts in it?
There's equipment that does things like that. This is something that some of the local drywallers will have. And then with glue and some minor cuts, you'll be able to do it because this soffit is inside the fire rating. So there's no need for structure.
Right.
So it becomes only aesthetic solution.
Yeah. So you guys have an R&D shop here as well, is basically what I'm hearing, right? Because you do a bunch of prototypes. They have a $100 idea, but I can't tell you any more than that because that's a top secret cultural thing here. But you can kind of figure out $100 idea, right? But your whole team, Peter and Diego, is involved in the process of not only the fabrication, but all the way through design and better ways to do it. And they are rewarded not only by great, awesome projects, but also by the team.
That is correct.
If they come up with better ways of doing things.
That is with the $100 idea is just, it's a way to motivate them. But it's interesting because we also have another theory here that in order for you to move up the ladder, even if you're sweeping the floors, you need to bring somebody better than you. We don't go and scout people on the streets. It's always within house. Yeah. And now that we're doing this 3D modular and everybody in the shop is like, hey, I want to get in this world. And they're already bringing people in. So we already have people waiting outside wanting to come in and take the existing 2D panel job and move into the 3D because the other guys are excited. I mean, you should see them. They get here at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is like a little playground now. We're having fun.
You are having fun. And I said it before, this is the cleanest shop. I was kneeling over there setting up my camera gear and I don't have any dirt on my knees at all, which is kind of unusual for what I do. All right, so here we go. You're coming up with great new ways of doing this for the guys. What are we looking at over on this corner here?
Just, like you said right there, trying to do basic. Like in this corner, some of the existing connections when it comes to shear components, but how does that shear becomes the lifting device for the modulars? We're still in the process of generating our software. I mean, you see right there, we're managing our live software where we call it a heat map. So every little panel right there is a detail, a plane, a change order, or anything else that the shop starts talking to the engineers. So every time all that blinking you see, there's a lot of process going on right now on every panel, every detail. So everything has a traceability.
Everything has a traceability. One of the unique things also that I've learned since being here is the color coding not only works for on the screen visually, but it's how a lot of the work gets done in the shop as well. You want to talk a little bit about how you've done that?
We're in California. Aquí se habla español. So even though the labor force has the ability to be very efficient, and we all do, you're always going to have a few guys. And why not use a common denominator, which is color? I think color is the best way to communicate to people. Color is the best way to create process. So the blue wall goes in the blue section. The blue screws go to the blue wall. And then you just start tying. Now we're doing that with the electrical, moving that into plumbing. And as it is, the industries have colors. And steel, 16 gauge is green, 18 gauge is yellow.
Yeah.
So there's already something that the labor that comes from the field and all that. It's just how do we incorporate that into a software that is easy to read?
Yeah, and I mean, Peter, being the architect, you know, on record, and also a designer and in the modular prefabricated space for a long time, you know, you guys have been working together now for some while. What's your thoughts on everything that's happening here?
I just came back from Spain, and I was fortunate to see a whole bunch of work by Antonio Gaudí. And Antonio Gaudí would live on the job site. And some of the projects they did were really trial and error in terms of the structure.
Right.
Well, this is in many ways the same type of model. We're so fortunate to be able to do our prototyping and our R&D right here. We walk through one door and I'm right in the middle of the factory.
Yeah.
So all of this is never typically available to an architect, and they have to work through a general contractor, through a subcontractor. So things get bogged down. But for me, I'm like a kid in the candy shop. When I sit here looking at a heat map and I know what's taking place with all of our panels, it gets really exciting because I understand the impact of all of this and the impact it has on speed and schedule and cost, and also on prototyping. It's so often prototyping stops because it gets so expensive, because it's so time consuming. But here, it's an extension of what we do, and we're always getting the latest and the greatest, and we're really attracting my tech and some other people who are really on the cutting edge in their respective industries. So it's snowballing in a positive direction.
You know, and one of the challenges is I tell Peter, keep dreaming, we'll build it. You know, so he's dreaming. I said, not Gaudi, you know, stay with Calatrava, maybe no Frank Gehry, just stay with the square so far. And then once he does it, we'll take care of whatever's inside the wall. And it's an interesting thing because we go over fire rating details, over assemblies, you know, where he wants this crazy architecture solution. I'm like, Peter, that's not doable. We can put a screw in there. So then we just go back, reverse engineering, and we managed to come up with some interesting participation of everybody in the shop, from, you know, the guys sheeting to the guys putting the screws.
Yeah, I mean, where it may seem like we're the two gurus here with the most experience and the most gray hair, but the team that we have here started out on this floor. Everybody who's drawing inside knows the impact of moving a beam over, moving a joist over, the thickness of that joist, how the screws are attached. So they're really empowered with knowledge when they're putting the drawings together and then coordinating all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So we have people who are not draftsmen there, people who are really empowered, maybe more so than engineers because of their hands-on experience in this research and development lab that's created.
Sure. Well, perfect. Let's walk over this way. We have some panels sitting here as well. I mean, this is traditionally your background, right?
That is correct. The 2D world, where, you know, you have to make sure that our tolerance is within a 16th of an inch. And as you saw, the heat map is all written by QRC code traceability. So this is the DNA of the panel. That DNA will, through scanning systems, will feed our software, which automatically connect live into a Revit model, and you'll be able to use Forge or any of the software that Autodesk has developed to be able to control those things in the field.
Excellent. All right, let's go over here to the main computer. We're going to now have a larger conversation on everything that's going on. Let me put this camera down. I hope that wasn't too shaky for everybody out there. All right, so let's talk about what are we really doing here, right, with mid-rise modular. You saw a need in the market, right? You saw what was happening. You also went and said, does anybody really get this to the full extent on the 2D side before they get to the 3D side, right? And you said, you know, hey, I think I can, you know, take this to a whole nother level.
Well, I think that folks here at Superior Wall Systems, who've been working in the 2D world for the panel world for the last 12 years, have been getting their entire process, their system, all their machines, their roll formers down to a level of precision that is just required in that world. The byproduct of all of that precision is that the transition into the volumetric world, the 3D world, is an easy one for them, right? Everyone here deals in a tolerance level of a 16th of an inch. What typically happens is folks open up a volumetric modular company and they try to figure out, how do I get precise? How do I get down to a manufacturing process as opposed to a construction process? Here it's already part of the DNA. I walk in here and I say, wow, possibilities that exist with the culture that is already in place is endless. It naturally dovetails into a volumetric system. So I think that while Diego was harnessing what they had here and refining it, he was actually solving another problem, a much larger problem. And what he's really doing is readapting the original strategy of the 2D world and it's now being modified and tweaked in the 3D world. And we see this over and over again in the manufacturing industry, but here it's happening and it's accelerated.
I mean, one of the challenges that we have is when we were doing panels and the software that we wrote, we had 20 procedures. Just to make that panel, there's 20 procedures between cutting and also traceability and raw materials, details, because, you know, having an SFI, roll forming, there's a full traceability. Then we bring 19 trades back with another 20 procedures. So we're now on the 100, 600 procedures. I don't understand how my fellow modular companies trace that. How do you do live 600 procedures where everybody has a dependency on each other, when moving forward is the only way out? So to us, it's a big challenge. We don't even sleep. I'm always thinking, okay, if I have 3 guys putting drywall, 1 guy doing plumbing, why is the drywall going faster? So we're doing this algorithm. We actually have the ability to write one where we're taking up procurement.
Yep.
We're looking at schedules.
Okay.
And our schedules is the speed of the line, and then resources. What happens if 2 drywalls don't show up today? What do you do with 20 guys in the shop? What do you relocate this? And that module is holding down everybody else. So then you start creating manufacture process. So you start walking away from being a GC, from being a construction guy, and you're actually creating a widget.
It becomes a manufacturing mindset and strategy. Completely. And I think that's really what separates us. So many of the projects that we're working on now are geared towards just removing folks from the site. Doing as much as possible in here. The simple little detail that he showed you over there with the drywall eliminates, I don't know how much framing or soffits in a project. That technology all exists. It's out there, but can you get it collectively and bring it under one roof? And that's what's happening here. So in this R&D lab that we create, it's not just about the products we're creating, but the products that we're utilizing and readapting from other industries that already have it resolved. Now we're just bringing it together. It's like we all have the same paint and the same palette and the same canvas, but how you arrange it makes you Picasso, or you make somebody like me who can't paint all that great, right?
Sure.
So that I think that we have a real keen awareness of what's out there, and then fortunately, when we get together with folks like you bring this tsunami of information to the table, and even if we use 5% of it, it has a major impact on what we're doing, and we see that happening now across the board in the industry. So it's kind of a collaboration.
And I think once basic is done, then you go to robotics, you go to automation. But if you don't understand basics, why do you make that big investment? What's your return on your investment? How do you get your money back? And I think that's some of the biggest problems sometimes is to keep what I call the bees alive. It's not easy. It needs to be constant flow. You have to pay payroll, you have to pay rent, but at the same time, you need to be efficient, you need to be precise. So it's a gambling, or you're juggling crystal balls. Your labor and all that may be a rubber ball that bounces back, but when it comes to budgets and all that, they're crystal balls. The moment you drop, you're dead. So
devil's in the detail, right? Devil's in the detail. And I'm fortunate that I get to travel the world and be in all these different factories. I get to see how all the people are really doing it. And, and the people that have it right are the people that are paying attention to the little details. And I think this is what's a really valuable thing for what you guys are doing, because you've already mastered the panel, and that you're still mastering it. I shouldn't say master. You're always learning and growing. But you were like a rock star when we were on the job site, with the project manager. These are big job sites, you were like a rock star. Everybody was coming to say hi to you. The project manager was super happy. And like you said, you never end up on your job sites because you very rarely have issues. There's always something to deal with, but it's how you deal with it is the value there. So, and the fact that you don't just deliver panels, you deliver value add. You're doing things not just for yourself, but for the person that comes after you and before you to make their jobs easier.
Yeah, some of the things that we do on the job site, what happens there, the GCs or the installers, they have access to our software. Right. Where if there's a panel that needs to be repaired, they mark it, and right away we know in the shop that panel needs to be repaired. You saw that day, there was a couple guys moving a couple studs because there was an I-beam that got relocated. Our crew was there doing the repairs and the needs, but that was just done through technology. See, at that point, technology, infrastructure, automation works, but the human touch, where you're thinking about the plumber, when you're thinking about the drywaller, still a human interaction. Yeah. And the panels are just a reflection of the respect that we have for the other trades. Well, exactly. So let's get into the mid-rise here. What is the goal? Like, who's the customer? Who's the client? Is this something that we're going to see roll out around the world, like global domination, or
Like what is the, what's the crawl, walk, run scenario that we're looking at here?
That's an interesting question.
Okay, I'll take a
let
shot
you know,
at it. Yeah. I think historically, modular companies go out and seeking clients, developers, builders, whoever it might be. We have a little bit of a different approach, and we recognize that most architects out there in the world would love to do this, would love to engage in this, but they're not going to take 10 years of their lives to get, research it, go through the R&D and experiment. So our goal is to reach out to the architects. Now, very few architects are going to say, sure, I want to share my client with a fellow architect. Me being a licensed architect, that doesn't happen in the architectural industry. But here, what we're trying to do is reach out to those architects. We'll sign all the NDAs. We won't take any of your clients, but we want to share what we have. Right. Because I think in order for the industry to grow, more people need to do it. There's just physical limitations on how many clients and how many projects we can work on. So when we approach those other architects, it's like, here's a new palette for you to work within. And it's modular. And all those benefits that your clients are asking you about, you can now bring that as a solution to them. So we're going after the architects, we're going after the engineers, and even fellow fabricators. There are fabricators who come to us and say, wow, you have the processes, you have the tolerance levels, you have all that efficiency already in place. How can we leverage that? So we want to be business to business friendly in that regard.
Where in the panels, it was the other way around. Our biggest customer was the GC. Because the drawings were already done, the engineer was already in place. All we can do is fix it, write a few R5s, and then move forward.
Right.
We're here, we actually get to talk to the owners through the architects. So the influencers in modular, I think, are the architects and engineers. And the more they get involved in the needs and the traits, and the drawings are reflecting the spacing, the construct, the way you construct things, the way you see an intersection of two walls.
Right.
It's just going to make the system easier.
Sure.
And it's not about having a common Lego piece. It's about having connection, common sense.
Right.
Because
if I can add to this, part of that panel world that was created here before mid-rise went to volumetric, our 3D modeling software team is putting together not just the panels, they're integrating all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Yeah.
So what does that do? The reason he walks out on the site and he's a rock star is because these guys know that he did the homework in advance. They know wherever they're placing something, it's already accommodated for. Now, he doesn't get paid for that, but he knows that I don't want to have to deal with the change orders because someone made a mistake. Let's just get out of the game. Everyone's on the same page. It's all coordinated. The architects show up and are like, wow, we really messed that up with the drawings, but you guys caught it. They're going to buy him coffee every time the truck shows up, right? But every trade is like that because they see how that collaboration dovetails together and makes everything far more efficient.
But you know what the trick is, and it is so interesting? It's not really the drawings, because we volunteer to draw. Sometimes we get plumbers with PDFs and highlighters, and we draw for them.
Right.
But if we make a mistake, we all made a mistake, and nobody notices. So if my model is half an inch off, the footings is half an inch, the plumbing is half an inch, everybody's half an inch. Right. So it becomes...
Well, it even grows bigger than a half an inch as you go up, right?
But it's not bad, but it's saying we're all in the same boat, where the other way, everybody's pointing fingers. Hey, is your half an inch? Is my half an inch? But we're all in this virtual world, and then we bring it into reality with total stations and different layout systems that already exist in the market. Everybody's happy.
And you can get precision in this.
Your point of going beyond the norm, bringing that added value, is appreciated by everyone on the site. And that's why when he walks out there, they go, this is the guy who pulls it all together. That typically does not happen with traditional projects.
Sure.
So that level of control that we have in the shop translates into control out at the site, which translates into reduced schedules, eliminating change orders, just a better spirit.
Yep.
I mean, I know people get paid overtime to fix mistakes, but at a certain point, people are just like, I don't want to redo it. I don't want to tear out what I've already built. There's a level of worker satisfaction. I did the job right. It worked out nicely, and here it is. So I think that what we start here as an idea is actually in that drafting, really in the drawings that are put together, it sets a roadmap for everybody.
Yeah, there's a whole team in there that scenes here working, and we kind of kicked everybody out of the back here. It's metal, so it gets kind of loud while we're filming. But I what I'm hearing is Peter, you're bringing your architectural background and you're looking at this different, like we were saying, where, how do I bring value add to the architects? How do I make this an easier systemized approach with less risk for them to build using our process? And how is this something that we can take and And, really, I could see this almost being repeated anywhere, because it's you dialed in the process. Like you said, you have your 1 through 10 or 1 through 20 or 1 through 60. And this is how it takes for every piece of this. But it's not just on paper, it's also digitized, as we saw over there, and color coded. So if you don't speak, the English or Spanish or whatever the job is, they can still figure it out. And I think that's super valuable to understand. And the culture here, and I say this everywhere I go, if you don't have the culture, you don't have a good business. It's not going to flourish. I'm seeing it everywhere.
Stars on the top.
It does. Now, something else that I know that you're going to do, because we talked a little bit about it, is you're not just systemizing the wall panels and the structures themselves. You're going to take this all the way into the MEPs.
At this point, we've empowered each one of our people inside
Yeah.
who understand how this entire structure comes together. They are the best people to have, maybe more so than the engineers. No, the engineers might get mad at me, but the engineers usually put together a generic set of drawings. These guys, every punch is in every stud, in every floor joist, every ceiling joist. So their level of understanding and how these other systems integrate into the structure is unsurpassed. They are the most knowledgeable people. So we've now put each one of them in charge of a different discipline.
Right.
And it's it's really amazing, because the culture here has this teamwork that's already built in.
Yeah.
And there are no egos here.
Yeah.
You'll see Diego arguing with somebody who has 1/10 of the experience he has, but he respects them, and this is how progress is made. So all of those different systems are now being created as kits, and we've all seen this in the modern world, where it's getting down to a level of efficiency where we're moving towards manufacturing,
Right.
more so than construction. We should be able to put in our electrical without an electrician, right? We're able to do it as a real manufacturing process. That's how we get it to be more affordable and keep the quality there, right? But the funny thing is, the electricians like what we're doing.
That's right.
Yeah, they want to be involved with this. They see this as the future. Same thing with the plumbers. They're happy to share this, because they say, wait a minute. They all work out there and say, there's a better way to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how to get my arms around. Then they walk in here and go, these guys are doing it. This is great. I want to be part of this. They see it as the future.
The challenge we have, and Peter and I, we're starting to come every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 to 6.
For real.
And then, we're trying to go earlier. But from project managers, they became product managers.
Yeah.
So we have a product manager for plumbing and everything else. And then we're actually getting a little belt that whoever quits brings to go home. And,
Perfect.
And the perfect challenge.
I like the seals, right? We are in California, right? Ring the
Yeah.
bell, get out. But I think that's it, right? So for this industry to grow, we got to take risk out of it. For the people that are designing the big projects across the country and small projects, right? Mid-rise all the way to single family, all the way to high-rise buildings. And I think if you break it down into small pieces and de-risk the process that makes it easier to dip your toes in the water safely, that's kind of what you're pulling together here. Is what I'm picked, right? And I think that's a big value, where others just go full blown right out of the gate. But you guys have already created the culture. You created a network of GCs and architects, and even yourself has been in it. You have an amazing name, so that brings value to what you're doing as well. And I commend you on all of that.
One of the relationships, like what we're doing with the University of San Diego, we just got a grant awarded to us to design a modular system. Peter wrote the presentation. He presented with the University of San Diego, and we just got granted enough money for us to have a little influence on the light gauge modular concept. So the mid-riser.
Congratulations.
It's a head grant, and thanks.
I could use a camera grant. Can you help me with getting some new gear?
We're building a 10-story. It's a 10-story light gauge steel frame structure that's going to be set up in I think it's the largest seismic testing facility.
That is correct.
And so what's happening is, even at in the academic world, in the university level, they're embracing this. They see it as the future as well. And so we're trying to stay on the cutting edge of all of this research,
right?
And really opening the doors for other folks as well, because we know we can't do alone.
Sure.
It always comes back to that. So if you can get into the universities, they're going to share that information, and ultimately it will find its way up into the profession.
And our doors are open. Anybody in the industry who wants to come over and take pictures, see it, there's no patents. We don't believe in patents. It only takes 10% to change a patent.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. It's more about how as an industry we raise. How do we raise the boat for everybody? How do we help? And through you, through Peter, any of us, reach out to us. Anything we can do, we're to learn.
And you guys have partnered with some of the bigger names in the industry for some of your connections and tie downs or whatever. If you want to mention that, that's fine. And you also are working with all the experts in the industry as well, to include your own team. And I think the fact that you listen to your people is important.
Yeah. That's the secret. The secret is in-house.
For sure. Well, there you have it, everybody. We are at Mid-Rise Modular. Let me just see who's in there. I see Cooper Lane's out there. Good to see you, Cooper, making a lot of comments, and Chaddy's out there. He wants to talk about transportation issues with Team Mid-Rise Modular.
That's a good one, huh? We just had.
So you call Stream Modular. That's what you do.
There you go. They were here already. Yeah. You know, in LA, limitations. Cars can only be at certain hours.
Yeah.
So you're always going to have the roads. You know, 12-foot, no chase car.
Yeah.
Up to 14, chase car.
Yeah.
Class 14, 2 chase cars. So they're big challenges, but some of these affordable housing projects that we're doing in LA, they're 13.5. So they're big enough to go on our roads anytime during the day.
Satisfy EDA requirements.
That is
critical things like that.
So
awesome.
LA is growing so much that we're actually going to be delivering within less than 15 miles of a shop.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no, and right there, we're already overwhelmed. We're booked. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, there's cranes everywhere around here.
There is.
I mean, this looks like the Middle East, you know,
Waiting
and
for the Olympics
UAE.
and the World Cup.
Cranes everywhere. Christoph Dros is out there. Hey, what's up, Christoph? Good to see you. David Carroll Architects is out there. You guys know David Carroll Architects? Me? Well, there you go, David. Maybe
we
you're
need to
interested.
meet you, so come and see us.
Yeah.
We're
Perfect. All right, well, listen, everybody. See, that was a quick 35, 40 minutes. I told you. Wow. It goes quick. Is there anything that we're leaving off the table here that we need to make sure people understand about Mid-Rise Modular? How do people work with you?
I think that I'd say to the architects, the developers, the engineers, come and leverage what we're doing. We'll share it. We'll be your intel inside. We can white label the product. Keep your clients, keep your identity, keep your aesthetic, but utilize what we've developed and all the time that we put into it and what we have here. And I think that we'll be able to, everyone will be able to embrace this more easily.
To our industry panel shops out there, or volumetric shops, how can we help?
Got it.
How can we help?
All right. Well, listen, everybody. We want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you very much for allowing me to come back and chatting out. We might be at a job site again. He's natural on camera. We're going to talk a little bit about codes here in California as well. So we'll bring some more of that to you in the next couple of days while we're here. And then we got a big event coming up on Thursday night. So stay tuned to find out what that was all about. So this is awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
all right. Appreciate everybody. Bye now.
What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.